on somewhere with this. But just head and say, Detroit City Council discusses measures to stop illegal evictions. Look, right, this is how we can do what we're talking about. Listen, 2 years, almost 90% of eviction cases found in Detroit were from landlords who did not have a certificate. It's illegal evictions. I went down to the 36th District Court, and it's packed illegally with the assistance of our police. I think some people on here have experienced that. To the police department, pay attention where we're going with this. Pay attention. This is from United Nations website. Look, forced eviction, human rights. The practice of forced eviction is a gross violation of human rights, in particular to adequate housing. They're violating our human rights. Now, what do we have the right to do? Stop. Humanitarian intervention. What does it say about humanitarian intervention? Hope you all can still see this screen. There's a humanitarian intervention going on in September. We're going to stop this by any means. Humanitarian intervention is a means to stop violation of human rights. Didn't it just say evictions were a human rights violation? The police violation. Not just landlords, the police. Why? Because the police are under. The police chief is appointed by who? The mayor. The mayor is sponsored by who? Dan Gilbert, the biggest real estate developer and investor in Detroit. Y'all see what's going on? Humanitarian, let me read further. Humanitarian intervention is meant to stop gross violations in a state where such state is either incapable of its own people or is actively persecuting them itself. In Detroit, didn't they just say the police are also the ones that's involved in the evictions illegally? Who's going to stop it? We're going to stop it. Listen. Here's a declaration. This is something that gives everybody. Here's a document from the United Nations, signed by the United States in the General Assembly, that gives us, listen, just the title of it alone. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to bore you by reading it. On the right and responsibility of individuals, groups of society to promote and protect universally rights and fundamental freedoms. Right and responsibility. So we have a right as individual human rights policy officers. We are an organization. We're stopping these human rights violations. We're intervening. The biggest way to intervene is simply to organize the people around the self-determination so you can stop all of these violations. We're going somewhere with this, Detroit. Self-determination, write that down. Now, self-determination. What's self-determination? While I'm reading this, I'd like to bring up the internet. Listen, y'all, this is a document. Professor of law, Georgia State University. We're going somewhere with what we have to doing. And it's not a scam. Nobody after tonight, nobody can convince you. You won't be ignorant enough. You got to educate the people. You got to know that this is our right. It's not a scam. Don't fall for it. Matter of fact, by them calling it a scam, all peoples have a right to self-determination in the third liberatory perspective on racial justice. Standing oppression, subordinated peoples can have a jurisprudence without a dominating people or group's permission. You don't need no permission, meaning a system of law. That system of law is human law. Housing is a human right. It's the number one human right. We have a right to stand up and say, look, we're going to take over this government this ourselves. We don't like your policies. We don't like what you're doing with our housing. We don't like what the police force is doing. We never receive monetary reparations begging you decade after decade. So we'll just take charge and give it to ourselves. Listen, this is what we have a right to do. All peoples have the right of self-determination. You don't have to. You don't have to ask now. You don't have to ask for anything. That's what I'm human rights. We ain't asking these people for nothing. Definitely back in this. I'm tired of asking these racists if we have to have it in order to live. Housing is a human right. Listen. This is a lawyer speaking. And other peoples of color in the United States engaging in decolonization or removing toward genuine liberation rather than asking for official adjustments to the status quo. In other words, will we take our right to self seriously and act on it? We ain't gotta ask for nothing. We have a right to self-determination. We can determine what to do within our without. Listen, bear with me. We're going somewhere with this. How do you act on self-determination anyway? According to the 1970 Declaration on the Principles of International Law Concerning Friendship among States, the establishment, that's what it says, the establishment of a sovereign and taking over the chart is independent and sovereign. We're going to set forth our own. We keep the same, some of the same rules. We can change them and add more, like free housing, for instance. The free association or integration with an independent state, or the emergence that is freely determined by a people, constitute modes of implementing the right of that people. We're talking about black people who have been denied their sovereign rights and self-government. Unless you think we came to the earth as slaves. No, we didn't. And somebody forcibly took us out of our. In other words, self-determination can take many forms, but they all involve rather than equal treatment at the hands of the state. We're talking about empowerment. We want some power. We ain't asking nobody to treat us right. They're not going to treat us right. We're going to treat ourselves right. Bear with us. How many have ever read this? Read them from Detroit, one. That's what we assert in our right of self-determination. This is a Detroit town hall concerning the national matter of self-determination, so some people are from other places. The Charter of Detroit. If you're from Detroit, I hope you ever read this document. I hope you have. Download it. Google it and download it. It's the city charter. What's the first thing it says? It just gives us power. We don't have to be asking for anything. We don't have to be power. We just don't know you got power. But Detroit city government is a service institution that recognizes a nation to the people of Detroit. What's a service institution? I mean, it's an institution that is the biggest servant of the city is the mayor. The mayor is not the most powerful person. The mayor is the person. He's the biggest servant. He has the most duties to serve. It's a service institution. If they're the servants, who's the master? I'll tell you right now. That recognizes its subordination to the people under the orders of the people. When do the people of Detroit or any other collectively get together and give orders to our servants? Name one time you got together and gave some orders and made them do something. Don't even know you got the power to do so. That's why we're on this call. You have we're going somewhere. All Self-determination. Bear with us. Bear with us. Back to these lawyers. Let me see who's in the code. We got some people. I want to bore everybody. The message is not lost on the younger generation, nor on those intent on maintaining. And the question becomes, what will it take to sustain and grow movements capable of regulatory change? I mean, we have movementizations that's capable of bringing change, but those organizations, they're not organized unless they use the power that we have, other than the human rights policy themselves, to use the power that we have. And we have power to take control in Detroit from the people collectively to take the properties of Detroit and make sure everyone has free housing. As we move forward, we can learn much from what Professor Richardson has articulated about the inherent right of Americans and other peoples of color within the United States to be self-determining. Beyond demands for equitable treatment and frame our struggles in terms of determination. He has laid the foundation for us. Professor Richardson does not pursue that task for us, for by definition, one cannot dictate how others should exercise nation. Rather, he identifies tools available in international law that A calls about. I'm just showing you what you have a right to do. Now, it's up to you if you want to write. It's up to you whether you want to remain in the condition of being brutalized and terrorized, forcefully remove and evicted from your homes, in a perpetual condition of never catch up to white folks who will always be constant the economy because we are a minority. We can remain in that right to simply take over where we live, give ourselves housing, create a new economic, create a new police force that won't kill us and wrongfully convict us. We have the right to do self-determination. And we can act on these things without asking. Our condition in international law as Black people is considered one huge human. Detroit is probably the biggest humanitarian crisis in America. The right to exercise humanitarian intervention and stop that ourselves. Relying on them to listen to our protests without relying on a candidate. Better things for us after we vote for him or her. We can simply organize. We're asking the people of Detroit to simply give consent to this game. The people don't agree with it, then it's dead. That's why I don't care if you don't vote for them, they don't have no consent from the people. So if you're from the people to go to that website and sign that consent, that database becomes a power base. The exercising humanitarian intervention and putting people in houses and you all will be alarmed if you have signed up on the website. You will be alerted on what's going on for you at that time. But please spread this awareness. Let everybody know that these are our rights. Do not fall for what the media is doing. They're going to come out and attack, discourage you from participating because it's your power that makes it possible. So part of warfare is fake news. It's political warfare, and it involves influencing the people with power. And who are the people with the power? The residents of the city. By telling them lies. Not once will they mention humanitarian intervention. Not once will they admit that there's a humanitarian crisis. We papers that police themselves are violating your human rights. The mayor, all of those inside the city government are complicit in those actions, and they removed by us because you don't consent to that. Unless you consent to that, no one in Detroit will consent to that. So it's up to us to let people be aware, make them up of what their rights are, so that we can't make ignorant decisions like several years in Detroit. I'm not going to go in this call, but this call is Detroit Town Hall meeting, so we're going to open up the floor into self-determination. We just want to introduce you into what self-determination is, the right of self-determination it is. Matter of fact, Malaki, did you bring up, you have the covenant? Can you hear me? Everyone see that? All right, there it is. Everybody write this down. And that International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. These are your rights. Top law of the United States, the top law of every state, the top law of every city. Civil and political rights. Number one, what does it say, number one? Have the right, if you're looking at your screen, of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely economic, social, and cultural development. All peoples, black people, the national law, we have a right to self-determination. We have a right to collectively decide what status is in Detroit and how we want the economy to run, the society to run, and the cultural development, culture to develop. That's what we have a right to. That means we can just simply. Those are the human rights that Dr. King was talking about before. This is some of us, most of our people continue to participate in with voting. He was talking about these human rights, using power instead of your power away to others to act. We're going to open up the answers, input, and critique. Come right Dan and give us a couple of guidelines that this call can go by. Right Dan may be out of commission. So we're going to open up the floor. Simply hit that microphone on your screen if you have any questions, any input.
There is a question in the chat.
All right, what is it?
Said, okay, can we get into our houses and can we get the money?
Good question. We're going to let you, won't be there in the ability to defend yourself. But we'll be coming there in December the 17th. We have officers on ground that can access and to defend against anything happening. We're dealing with a force that's unlawful. That they just said the police are involved in illegalizations because they work for the police chief. And all of them are working for Dan Gilbert, so they don't want you to have those houses. So we have to take certain actions, which we will be taking in September, to make sure the police will not. But of course, the houses belong to the people. You can exercise your right as you see collectively do it, and want human rights policy officers on the ground in Detroit. Sure that happens. Once we have total control of the city, once you control areas and assets, then you can leverage. That's where monetary grants come in. The people that's aware. We're gonna be on ground making it happen, but we can't have the people because the media says it's a scam, even though we never asked for anything. Your rights, because we're gonna do what we have to do to make sure it happens. So the population of Detroit needs to be in awareness for one thing, need to be in line with what we're doing. Any other questions? Now we're spreading awareness to the population, the residents of Detroit. Because in September, we're going to be down on announcements. You are going to get the announcement. You're probably going to see some stuff on the news. We're occupying the houses of September the 17th. And the officers will be there to make sure you're protected. We just want the population of Detroit to be aware and be in consent to our population. So if you have people who haven't signed up on the website, Evans, Brother DetroitGov.us, and registered their consent. That database is a power base. Go ahead.
It's saying that the website has been taken out for security reasons. Earlier, it was up earlier, but it moved me up when I tried to get back.
Really?
So I could be here. I'm like, when they coming back, we'd be there and they can guide us and help.
Oh, somebody try that. One of the comrades tried DetroitGov.us. Yeah, Brother Evans, hybrid warfare. That's part of hybrid warfare. Even last year they've been sending about to stop the website because we had tens of thousands of people going to the website. So that's power. The mayor only had 50,000 votes. We had that in the amount. So they're gonna try to stop.
Excuse me, the website. I don't want it right now.
Okay.
DetroitGov.us. I'm gonna put it back in the link.
Yeah, try it again, Evans. So they send in bots at it. Times to come back up. This is Detroit Town Hall meeting. Determination. If you knew this call, please write that word, right of self-determination. Of self-determination. You have a right in Detroit to organize yourself, or asserting and assert your right of self-determination. You can take over the properties of Detroit. Police force is within our rights to do so. We just don't know we have the right to educate the people of Detroit on their rights. So you can't fall for the okie doke. You can't forever. That's a condition of ignorance. There's no way we should be hung with thousands of empty properties. That means we are ignorant of what we have a right to do concerning those properties. That means we're ignorant concerning the right that we have to take over city assets and get this call is to eliminate that ignorance by educating on their rights. Any other questions? Any comments? You can hit that microphone on your screen. Put your question in the chat box. Yeah. Send a message. You can send a private message to Comrade Malaki.
Okay, we'll do.
I'm probably the one who least know how to work that chat box. Yes. Any comments or questions in the chat box? Comrade Malaki.
No.
Anyone new on this call? Who's a jitsu there?
Comrade Ramsdale.
Yes.
Did we do the rules and or did you just go ahead into the question and answer?
Yeah, we just answered.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Because I have some things here, but I'll be on point tomorrow with the to catch up with a lot of the Daniel Glover Senior. Thank you for everyone and all the new folks that's here. But I need to talk to you as soon as we can about some other things. Call me after the conference.
All right. All right. Somebody else have the mic open? You want to say something?
I don't have,
You don't? What happened?
I got disconnected.
Any other questions? The Detroit Town Hall meeting, also orientation into self-determination. We're in discussions session. We went over what the right of self-determination, that Detroit is under human rights violations, and we have a right to humanitarian intervention. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Victor's mic is open.
I seen him. You just say keep opening the mic. Do you want? Any questions? Any comments? It's called knows that we have the right of self-determination. Then everybody knows what that means. How do you act on your right of self-determination? Meaning we can collectively come together, people of Detroit, too, and make decisions concerning the city, saying we are going to take control of the housing department, the Detroit Free Housing Authority, in which we can give it of the city because the people of the city have given it that authority too. These are ways that you assert your right. You don't protest, just act your rights out. You have a freedom of speech. You don't go and petition. You speak freely. Just start speaking freely. You have a right to remain silent. You got to go march and ask for that right. When they stop you, just shut up. Many of us get involved in assemblies, protests. We don't go ask for it. We just do it because we have the right of determination. You have a right to collectively make a decision as a people that you're going to take charge of your city. You're going to take it and begin running them and administrating them yourself. We have that right. The right that you have engaged in when you went to DetroitGov.us and you came to the assembly and you voted. So that's what we are asserting. So since everybody fully understands it, you understand you have a right of self-determination, you understand that it's not something that you wait on or is granted from others. It's a natural right, but it's acknowledged. You simply have to act it out. You know that it's the only guaranteed solution to the only thing that's going to stop us from being homeless. It's the only thing going to stop us from being empowered, the wrongful convictions. It's the only thing that's going to stop the police brutality is by and stopping these things ourselves. In the first place of us